There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line, presented by Offside News. My name is Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Marcie.
Hello.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
It's felt like such a
It's
Monday
been a Monday.
today. I've had such a long weekend as well.
Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we can jump right into the Leaf stuff, I guess, as well, considering they do play tonight against Chicago at home.
Oh boy.
But yeah, no, so Toronto played on Saturday against Tampa. Joseph Wool got the start against Andrei Vasilevsky. And boy, oh boy,
What
did
a
Joseph Wool
game.
play really well. What a game. We'll talk about his performance a little bit later. But Austin Matthews and Matthew Knies both returned to the lineup. So Alex Steves was sent back to the Marlies, which makes sense considering like he was the easiest one to move in terms of the fact of like a bit like Fraser Minton's playing well, Nikita Grabenkin's been playing pretty well, so like, and Alex Nylander requires waivers, so Alex Steve's sending him down makes sense, but also to produce that extra roster spot because the Leafs need to make two. Bobby McMahon was placed on IR.
We can't have nice things.
I just get nervous because it was a lower body injury that kept him out of the playoffs last year. But hopefully he comes back soon. But yeah, so after but I will say like into the actual game and stuff, like after the first 5 minutes, like I think Toronto very much dominated the game all the way through.
Oh yeah.
For the most part. Then there was the last 5 minutes of the third, but
some things we just don't have to talk about.
we can't have everything. But like it was truly one of those games where like the Leafs just stayed dominating throughout the entire game. And yeah, no, so getting into the scoring, Leafs open up the scoring as well with Matthew Knies with a tip off of a shot from Chris Tanev. All I have that one is he really hates Tampa.
That I so deeply respect how much he loves being a hater. Like he's like, a hater.
He was like, yeah, it's like for those who don't understand the context, I think we've even talked about it last episode, but before he joined the Leafs in 2023, when he was still at the University of Minnesota, he lost the NCAA final, Frozen Four final, in Amalie Arena against Quinnipiac. So, and ever since then, he's just always played really, really well against Tampa. I know going into this season, he was tied in goals scored against Tampa and Pittsburgh, but now I've looked back and Tampa holds that sole spot.
And will forever hold that sole spot.
Yeah, he just like, I don't know what it is. Like he always manages to find the back of the net or just has like a really good game against Tampa Bay Lightning. He was a beast at the playoffs against them in 2023 and just even through all last year as well, was just playing really strong against them. And that continues into this year for sure.
He's very committed.
Yeah, he's very committed to the bit. And then shortly after that, Joseph Wool with the breakaway save. Joseph Wool had a fantastic game. I believe he faced I want to look up how many shots he faced because I do know that he faced a high number of shots. I should have had this written down beforehand, but did I? No. But yeah, no, he had a fantastic game. Yeah, no, he faced 41 shots. So for those who would like to know the save percentage of that is a 927.
Yay!
But yeah, Chris Tanev. Yeah, this now we're rolling his second period. But Chris Tanev has a rocket of a shot. Like, okay, Cristiano scored a goal. But making his first as a Leaf.
Yippee!
Which, like, welcome to Toronto. Yeah, just like that's straight up beating like Andre Vasilevsky. That's beating Andre Vasilevsky straight up, which not very many people can do.
No.
And then to go to more like a true like goal scorer's goal is Nick Robertson to make it 3-0. That like I need people to look at the angle of which he shot that puck from, because it was like kind of the only spot. Like, there's not very many guys on the Leafs who can score from there. And like kind of the only guy that you really mostly see it from is Austin Matthews, which I think is what like a lot of people have been always like. I think we've been saying it as well, but it's like anytime you hear someone talk about like the positives that Nick Robertson can bring to your rosters, like people are like, he's a goal scorer. He can score goals. He has a wicked shot. He knows how to provide that offense, and like hopefully for him this is just like a jumping off point in momentum where he can then carry the success through the next stretch of games. Schedule, man. But yeah, hopefully, because he had like it was such a gorgeous goal where it was just from that spot, like it was deep in Tampa zone from like that left face-off circle, just like pure goal scorer's goal. And you could tell that for him, it really like took the monkey off his back in a way as well. You could hear his yell on the broadcast. It got picked up. Like, go back and like watch. I think even like the Leafs like tweeted it. They always do. It's like they posted up the goal, the clip of the goal. But yeah, no, like just you could hear the yell on the broadcast, and you could hear it in the press box as well, apparently. Which
very loud.
Yeah. So good for him. And then yeah, this is all, by the way, these 3 goals that we're talking about, like the Tanev, Robertson, and now the John Tavares goal, all happened in the second period.
It was
so like now we're like rolling. Now we're rolling into the second period, and this is what I mean, where like the Leafs really dominated. Like, they were a little bit on the back foot, like starting in the first, but you know, once they got their legs out under them and were really just dominating the entire game on all aspects. Like you could tell the ice was really tilted in their favor. But John Tavares with backhand shot, which he has like underrated backhand. I think he has. But backhand with his back to the net, which I think we've seen, like that's the 3rd time we've seen it against Tampa in like recent memory. Like the little like the spinorama and the backhand backwards behind him. We saw that in Game 6 against Tampa in 2023. We saw it last year with his first game with like the Leafs' first game in Tampa since winning the series, and now we've seen it again. So I just like, all right, yeah. And then in the third, it's Eismont who breaks the shutout bid for Joseph Woll. Just
I have a confession to make. I feel personally responsible for.
It was you?
I was watching, obviously, and I just sat there and I went, wow, not long left now. Within seconds, the goal had been scored.
So it was you, because I was like very much not even thinking about it.
It wasn't even like an intentional like thing. I was like, oh, like shit, there's not long left now. Like I just checked the clock and then the goal happened. I did feel really bad. I had to sit there for a minute and just think about what I'd done. So yeah, sorry, Joseph. My bad. I can feel the disappointment through the screen.
Yeah, because I was like, who said something? Because I was like very much purposely not bringing it up. Because I was like, I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to be the one that's going to place a blame on for this. And then.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. And then, so that was halfway through the third, but then John Cooper decides to be John Cooper and pull the goalie for an empty net with 5 minutes left in the third period. It was a thing too, where like even it was like I was talking to people while the game, and I was like, ugh, just wait till he like pulls this crap in like Four Nations or something, and like pulls the goalie with like 4 minutes left.
Don't even say.
Because he's a coach for Canada. Like that's the thing is like, he would because he like, it's just that kind of like crazy person.
If he does, I'll be having words.
Yeah. And it did pay off though for Tampa in a little bit. They scored 2 goals in that span to make it 4-3. One of them was a 6-on-4 goal because Oliver Ekman-Larsson took a penalty by cross-checking Jake Gunsel. And that's where I have to go. Like, I think like OEL just has to like he just has to remember that like he doesn't play for Florida anymore. And therefore he can't really get away with as many of the cross checks after the whistles and things like that.
Yeah, like we can't really do
that. Mm-mm. Not if you're playing for the Leafs.
Nope. Definitely not.
Yeah, so it was at this point, I think it was even like when it was 4-2, I was starting to get a little bit nervous. And then when it became 4-3, then I started getting really nervous because I was like, if the Leafs blow this.
Yeah, I don't think it's watching the Leafs is good for me right now, especially with like how stressed I am before we take them into account. It's not good for me.
Yeah.
It's shortening my lifespan. Every game I watch takes at least 5 years off my life.
Yeah, no. Tonight's game will do that as well.
Oh, don't even, don't even.
But yeah, no. It doesn't matter anyways. William Nylander sinks the empty netter to make it 5-3, and that is the final score. Leafs win against Tampa, which is it's a good, nice bounce back for them after losing so badly to Florida. Earlier in the week, and it provides them with a little bit of, okay, we're coming out, we're going back home, going into we're finishing a pretty light last 2 weeks of November and going into a pretty packed schedule for the month of December. And still in pretty good still in a pretty good spot in the standings. I don't think they're still first anymore. Pulling this up now. I do know because I don't know if they're first in the Atlantic anymore. Okay, by points percentage they are, because Florida has played 2 more games than them, which is what matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're still first. They're also as well, they're third in the East as well. Behind Washington is also, yeah, sorry. We'll talk about this because it's a crazy thing where I'm like, okay, I didn't realize they were that good of a team, but the Washington Capitals being first in the Eastern Conference. But yeah, no, so Toronto, yeah, goes into pretty busy. They practiced today, had a morning skate before their game tonight against Chicago. David Kampf and Max Domi both were back. They weren't in they were in extra grays, but they were full participants in practice, which is a good solid sign for sure about their return. Jake McCabe, though, however, oh yes, because we didn't talk about this. That's Jake McCabe during the second period was hit in the back of the head by a shot by the puck. I don't even remember who shot it. I don't remember, to be honest. But he left the game and did not come back, and he did not practice today. And Craig Berube said that he will not be playing today and will be taking a couple days, just because they're cautious. Because you take a puck to the head, and
yeah, it's not.
Yeah. But that moves Philip Myers into the top 4 to fill in. Which, all right.
Sure. Why not?
Whatever. At this point, that's the thing. It's this game against Chicago, it can go so many different ways. But yeah, also as well when it comes to defensive injuries or injuries to the blue line, Yanni Hakanpää was put on retroactive IR to November 16th, and Marshall Rafai was recalled from the Marlies. So Simon Benoit gets his little Quebecois friend back. They're multiplying. But also as well, it seems to be lower body for Yanni Hakanpää, which, that's again, where this sort of worry, and I think even, when the signing was first quote unquote announced, or when Elliot Friedman was like, oh, the signing has happened, and then it wasn't made official all summer, and we kept wondering when it's gonna happen. But that is one of the concerns that I raised, was just he's had lower joint issues, he has knee issues. Why? But I am so sorry. I'm just so nervous about tonight's game. So it's Anthony Stolarz will get the start tonight versus Chicago, which I then will assume that Joseph will start Wednesday against Nashville. There's 2 games. Now we're back to we'll talk about 2 games next episode.
We'll actually have stuff to talk about.
Yeah. But so let's get to start today against Chicago. And I am nervous against this game against Chicago, solely based off of how many former Leafs are in the lineup and are on the Chicago Blackhawks. It's too many, to the point where I'm like, TJ Brodie hat trick.
There's so many of them, Emma.
So for those, I'm gonna just list them all out. Okay, because on top of having Connor Bedard come play, or come to town, for Chicago, obviously, as well, the notable ones is you got Tyler Bertuzzi, you've got TJ Brodie, which that's gonna be a weird one, TJ Brodie welcome back video.
Question mark?
Oh yeah, no, literally I open I'm looking for the Chicago Blackhawks roster, and the graphic on the Chicago Blackhawks site on NHL.com for tonight's game is a one where it's TJ Brodie.
I'm just not. I can't do this, Emma. I can't do it.
But yeah, sorry. Sorry. Tyler Bertuzzi. TJ Brodie. Peter Mrazek, which I'm going to assume he's going to get the start tonight. Ilya Mikheyev, Nick Foligno, and Joey Anderson.
I forgot about Ilya Mikheyev. I wish I could.
But yeah, no, so many former Leafs. So Leafs might as well start you might as well start the game with the Leafs down 4-0 at this rate.
Yeah.
Peter Mrazek's going to stand on his head, and everyone's going to be like, where was this Peter Mrazek when he was in Toronto? We should have never gotten rid of him. And everyone's going to be like, no.
It for playing against them.
Like, yeah, just really something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see how tonight will go.
I'm just
without Jake McCabe, former Chicago Blackhawk.
Oh my god.
Remember, that's the thing too, is like, I'm like, of course, you know, the one guy who's, you know, the guy who's not going to be played today is Jake McCabe, the former Chicago Blackhawk. Like, it is always really, and also as well, like, Chicago's like retaining his salary right now still.
Yep.
So like, it would have been really funny to make the jokes about, hey, look at this is the team. Like, anyways, yeah, no. So in case you're wondering how we're thinking, how
things.
Well, this game, like, it was a thing too where it was like, I can't not feel nervous about this game. There's too many former Leafs playing, right? Like, there just is. Too many former Leafs and Connor Bedard. Just throwing that information out there.
I can't wait to go stand in the kitchen and decide what drink I'm gonna have.
I'll be in class, but
oh, that's rough.
Yeah. But yeah, so also as well as like so yeah, that's games tonight, and then on Wednesday, Leafs take on Nashville, meaning the return of a couple other former Leafs, and Ryan O'Reilly and Luke Shen. Because then do you know who they play on? Is it Thursday or is it Friday? I'm trying to remember.
It's
where
Friday.
The back-to-back is it Friday? Because you know who they're playing on Friday? You know who's coming to town on Friday? The Washington Capitals. It's just the week of it's just the week of former Leafs. Because then on Saturday, Leafs are in Pittsburgh.
Oh my god. I'm not gonna have any alcohol left at this point. And you've seen my kitchen counter.
Michael Bunting hat-trick incoming.
Fuck it, Kyle Dubas hat-trick. He's gonna get himself down on the ice.
Yeah. Oh boy, do I love the early December Leafs Penguins Hockey Night in Canada matchup. I believe we had it last year as well. And it was...
I'm not strong enough. I can't do it.
You know what? It's fine.
Yeah.
Look, you know what was going on with the Leafs this time of year?
Yeah. We
had no goaltending.
Yeah, it could be worse. At least we've sorted that out. We just have we've got the goalies sorted. We just don't have anyone else.
But yeah, this is gonna be a fun week of Ooh, what a fun week this is going to be.
Yeah. What a fun week.
Stellar. So stellar.
Like, it's just, could they not have done this on a week where I'm not incredibly stressed with a billion deadlines? Like,
True. No.
were they not thinking of me and my late November, early December deadline season? We're not thinking, you know what? Matt's gonna be having a pretty rough time. Let's be nice. Let's not put her through all of this. But no. It was not meant to be. But yeah, happy early December, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, what a time.
But yeah, no, yeah, so previewing a little bit Wednesday, I'm going to assume Joseph will get the start against Nashville. Like, that only makes logical sense.
Yeah.
And then also as well, Reeves is eligible to return Wednesday versus Nashville. I do believe, though,
I
I'd have to.
forgot about him.
That's the thing. That's why he
We've
makes no
known so
sense.
much peace, so much joy.
Okay, so I think they do have space to bring him, like, to activate. I just. He's suspended. It's something too where it's like
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It is important to note though that David Camp is on LTIR and cannot return until the 14th, so we won't see him this week. Who knows what's happening with Max Pacioretty because we haven't heard anything about him.
Hmm. It's a rough one. Oh, dear me. But yeah, what a fun week. Fun few weeks we've got coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what decision you make there with Ryan Reed. Like, it's the thing too where it's become obvious as well as like the Leafs don't necessarily need him. And this is what I've said since day one.
It's like, is it ethical to just fire someone into the sun? Like, are there rules about that?
Yeah, I think, but like the thing is, as well as like as guys start to come back, the Leafs will need to make series of roster and cap moves to fit everyone back in. Um, which, maybe probably could see that we like obviously the easiest solutions are sending not Max Jones, sending Fraser Minton and Nikita Kubrenka back to the Marlies, but we will see how that rolls. Um, yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of questions.
Many questions.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on from the Leafs, we can talk about some other things that happen. Yeah, let's do World Juniors. So US and Canada both announced their World Juniors camp rosters today. Um, there was a couple snubs on both sides, which are interesting. Yeah, just more so. Like, there's always, and I think, some people who are maybe a little bit newer to these types of tournaments and stuff don't understand, like, there's politics here. that are at work. And I think we even talked about it last year in our preview. And Canada has gotten into this weird way of like they're trying to play like 3D chess with their roster instead of just sending out the best possible roster that they can. They try to like send out like it's just so weird. It's like they'll try and build this roster where they're like, oh, we don't have to always break, like we can break, like no, we'll send in some gritty guys there and we'll build like a team where it's like no, there's no like limit on the talent that you can put out there. Just put out your top guys.
Yeah, like just do it. You can
literally, like, you can make your dream roster with all the best players and they just aren't. And then there's some politics of like guys who are coming back are more likely to be given spots over younger players, things like that, yada yada yada. Or like who's in charge of coaching. Like the thing is as well is like there's only 2 players from the Q who were selected, which is a very small minority. Like the Q produces some of the best players. Like there's so many good players that come out of the Q.
Yeah.
And there was only 2, so it seems kind of like the ratio between like guys from the Q and guys from the Dub and guys from the O seems a little bit off. And then there's some snubs too, like Beckett Sneckett. He wasn't selected, which is surprising. I think that shocked a lot of people because it was like the first time that the 3rd overall pick wasn't selected to represent his country since like 1997 or something for the World Juniors. Iginla wasn't selected. Michael Misa wasn't selected. Michael Haig wasn't selected. Like those are just some of the names that I'm throwing out. Carter Yakimchuk wasn't selected, and that was a big one as well, is because like Ottawa chose not to like use him at all in the regular season. Like he didn't play any games in the regular season despite having a really strong camp in the basis of like, well, okay, a lot of your development or your main development point this season is going to be the World Juniors. And like he's an Ottawa prospect. He's an Ottawa prospect and the tournament's in Ottawa, and there's a lot of people, in the Ottawa Senators organization who has ties to Hockey Canada. It's this whole thing where a lot of people were really shocked that he was snubbed. I think mostly among Sens fans who were kind of expecting him to be in it, but it's just a thing as well where it's like and you'll have that is like because you can't invite everyone. Like there's always going to be people who think that there's more diverse, but like I think with the Hockey Canada roster and even Team USA as well, as you can see the politics at play always more so, I guess, as like we're familiar with that hockey landscape than so much of like the teams from Europe and things like that, because we just don't know, right?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how everything plays out.
Yeah. In terms when it comes to talk about the Leafs, though, Easton Cowan once again was selected for the 2nd year in a row to the Team Canada's camp for World Juniors. So the expectation for him is for him to make the team again for a 2nd year in a row. And I like the thing, and I guess I'm trying to remember if we even talked about it on the show or if I was just too mad that I was like, I don't even want to talk about it. But was just like the problem for Team Canada was the way that was, first of all, some of it was roster construction. It was that they didn't bring like their best 25 players. They brought, there was some guys that maybe shouldn't have gone but went anyways because they filled a role, but then like they just weren't like deployed properly. Like the lineup deployment was weird, and like the player usage was just like Easton Cowan, I guess, is one of those names because he was the biggest standout of a guy who like just wasn't utilized properly or utilized in the way that he is meant to be used in a lineup. And it like reflected in his not poor, but like his underwhelming performance.
Yeah.
In the tournament.
He wasn't given the chances that he should have had. Like,
well, yeah, it's like you bring gritty players and they take a guy's, and like 2 games into the group stage they get suspended because they took a guy's head off, and you're like, and then you look like an idiot for bringing that guy at all. knowing that's how he plays, right? Like, it's that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm
excited to see how everything happens there. Well,
it'll be interesting. Yeah, we'll definitely do. I think probably depending on timing, I think we'll have time to do it. We'll definitely do like the same thing that we did last year. We put out a preview.
Oh yeah.
Because we enjoy doing that, and it's fun. And World Juniors is such a fun tournament as well. And I know even like Offside, we're putting out articles for that as well. But yeah, it's something to keep in mind. Camps start up soon. There's the two. I know Canada is having 2 exhibition games with their camp roster selections against U Sports All-Stars on the 12th and the 13th in Ottawa. Unsure if I will go to that game. It's literally the middle of final season for me, so I'm like literally may not have the time to. But if you're in Ottawa and you're around and you want to, maybe you couldn't get tickets for World Juniors, but you want to see still some prospects, or you just really like U Sports, go check. You can go. Like, I think you can get tickets for both days for like $60 combined. Like, it's like you get a ticket for both games for like $60. So yeah.
I unfortunately will not be in attendance.
Yeah, because someone's not.
I'm a little bit far away.
Yeah. Keeping on the route of national international tournaments, Foreign Nation rosters are due for submission today. I believe we're closing in on that deadline time in just a little bit, just a wee bit. But yeah, they're Foreign Nations rosters due today. It seems by the talks of things that perhaps the Flyers let leak which players of theirs were going. Which was Travis Konechny, Travis Sanheim, and Rasmus Ristolainen, based on a tweet that I saw where they were all cheering and congratulating him during practice, or they just, I don't know.
Felt like it?
Felt like
Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, I've seen so many mock Foreign Nation rosters over the past like week and a half. And like I thought about potentially like the two of us putting together a couple, but then I realized no, I can just nitpick everybody else's choices. So when I say why are we sending Zach Hyman? With the season that he's had, I know like some of this is like it's like the thing that bothers me, and this happens all the time, is like Team Canada tries to build a roster that's full of guys who will play specific roles, where instead of just sending like, your 25 best guys, it's like, okay, yeah, you want to like, you're like, oh, well, Zach Hyman can, sit net front with on like Connor McDavid's line. I'm like, yeah, so can basically everyone in the league.
Like, pick people that are going to work really well together rather than just the people that individually you think, they'll be good.
Well, that's some of it. No, that's exactly what I'm not saying. Like, Zach Hyman, people are throwing him in there because of the fact that they can put him on Connor McDavid's left wing, but like he hasn't had a good season this year.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, not. I'm trying to word it in a way that makes sense, but it's like people who like currently are like good. That, oh my god, my words.
You were saying the wrong thing before.
Yeah, I have the vibe in my mind, and I'm just really frazzled at the moment, and the words aren't wording. But it's like a team that. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking.
Good. It was like there was a couple where I'm like, okay, so why are we sending like Zach Hyman? Why is like Mark Stone? That was one I don't get. Like I understand how good he is in like the month of April when he's not like hurt. But he like that's the thing too, whereas like I know guys who are like hurt right now, like it doesn't, you know, it's February and they'll probably be good to go by February, but like and you probably have a list of guys you'll call up for like injury reserves, but it's like I don't know, I just like that's the thing too where it was like we really haven't seen Mark Stone like play all that much this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't.
Sorry, no, I've been really confused for the last few minutes because I could hear a guy's voice and I was like, I'm in a house of girls. Why can I hear a man's voice? And then I've realized it's one of our friends, but I didn't know he was coming around. But I've been trying to figure it out, and I've been a bit weirded out.
But yeah, but the Four Nation rosters also get announced on the 4th, which is Wednesday. They will get announced at 2:30 p.m. Eastern for Sweden and Finland, because that'll be prime time in Sweden and Finland. And then they're in did I say 2:30? I think they're 2 p.m. And that Sportsnet had a graphic, and now I'm trying to visualize. But I do know that Team Canada and USA are getting announced at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, because that is just before, like, that is the start of like the Wednesday night national broadcast for Canada and the US. But yeah, we'll see how those will go. For those who were like maybe thinking, hey, Joey Decord could go, he does not have a Canadian passport and therefore is not eligible, and that is like the thing of eligibility that makes a player eligible. And for the people I saw people on Twitter, like, because that was a big buzz on Saturday night, because Elliot brought it up during Elliot Freeman brought it up during Hockey Night in Canada's during his Saturday headlines on the broadcast. But I saw so many people being like, why is like the passport, like, isn't that like a little bit, why is that like what you're choosing to like decide nationality based on? Like, isn't that a little bit like exclusionary towards certain players? I'm like, these are NHL, like, it's different if it's like your stance of determining someone's citizenship depends on like if they have a passport in said country, which isn't always the case. But like you're talking about NHL players who like require a passport, like who travel for their job all the time and have to cross the border between Canada and the US all the time and require a passport to work. Like, for them to travel and go on road trips and take flights, these guys need a passport. And therefore, odds are they will have, like, they have to have a passport. So they will have a passport, like, in the country that they are a citizen of.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I just saw so many people with that take, and I was like, that's such a weird take to have about, like, NHL players.
Like, I just don't know. Just seems a bit silly.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just a thing. So Joey Decord will not be named to Team Canada. But if he does get a Canadian passport before February and one of the goalies selected for Team Canada gets injured, he could play for Team Canada. But also, as well as because Four Nations isn't like affiliated with IIHF, he, like, just because he's representing one country, or like even if like Team USA was like, oh, then we'll like steal him out from under like Canada's ability to use him for like the Olympics or Worlds, that's not how it works, because it's not like IIHF. So like he is still eligible to like play, like he doesn't lose his ability to represent a different country at the Olympics or at Worlds. Just something to keep in mind. So yes, that does mean that there actually was nothing stopping except for the fact that maybe he doesn't have a Canadian passport, but there was nothing stopping like William Nylander from getting named to Team Canada. If he has a Canadian passport. Which I don't know if he has a Canadian passport or not. I would assume that maybe he does just solely for like the purpose of like traveling between US and Canada is easier with a Canadian passport. I don't know. I don't know how many passports William Nylander owns.
We are not experts on William Nylander's passports.
No, we're not an expert on his passport situation, but it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see the rosters and see who's named and potentially get mad about it, but who knows? Yeah, and there was a couple trades as well over the weekend, and by over the weekend, I mean on Saturday. And I mean the first one happened at 10 a.m. Eastern or 9 a.m. local.
Because sure.
Sure, why
Bright
not?
and early. What a way to start your morning.
Yeah, so it was Scott. So the trade happened at 9 a.m. local on a Saturday morning between the Nashville Predators and Colorado Avalanche, where Nashville traded Scott Wedgwood to Colorado for Justus Annunen and a 6th-round pick in the 2025 draft. And I saw a lot of people wondering why they were doing this. And I think the reason is pretty obvious why Colorado wanted to do it. If you look at their goaltending situation, and Nashville, I do not understand. So jury's still out on that one. Potentially it's because they realize that UC Soros, like, not that they don't need it, but like, not that they realize, but it's like UC Soros is very much capable of of holding that starter spot on his own in Nashville. So you don't necessarily, like, not that you don't need someone as good as Scott Wedgwood, but you're able to maybe have a weaker backup for him. I know some people are like, well, it could be a cap dump. I'm like, Scott Wedgwood is signed to a $1.5 million AAV. You can't dump that. No. That's not a cap dump.
I mean, they could dump it into my bank account. I'd be happy with that. But I don't think it's as significant to them.
No, I don't think it is either. But it does mean that I don't know, it just happened at 9 a.m. and I was like, what? It was like 10 a.m. I was like just waking up, like not just waking up, I'd actually been up for a while because I was going to TD for the Colonel By Classic. And I was like had to leave my apartment like at like 11:30. So I was like getting ready to go, but I was like, I don't have time for this right now.
Like, can they
I'm too busy today. But yeah, that happened. And then the other one that happened the same day, just later, this actually was big buzz in the press box for Colonel By Classic, was that finally we have the David Jiricek trade, which I believe we've discussed a little bit on the podcast.
Yeah.
Just in the way of like,
it has been mentioned.
He could move. But yeah, so he was traded from the Columbus Blue Jackets, notably just because the fact like he wasn't being trusted with ice time and he wanted to play more, which is very valid. But yes, he was traded from the Columbus Blue Jackets to Minnesota for Damon Hunt, a conditional 1st-round pick in the 2025 draft. That is conditional in the way that it's top 5 protected. So it means that if Minnesota, for however unlikely they are with their position right now in the standings, were to finish with a top 5 draft pick, that pick would move to 2026. A round 3 pick in the 2026 draft, which is originally Colorado's. A round 4 pick in the 2026 draft, which is originally Toronto's and came from the Connor Dewar trade. And and a round 2 pick in the 2027 draft. That's a lot of picks.
It is.
It is a lot of picks, and I want to say like this is a trade that'll take so long to figure out who is the winner. Because if you were to just look at like the 2 players that were exchanged, it's very obvious that like Minnesota won because Damon Hunt was fairly decent at an AHL level, but like never really has yet to have the chance to succeed at the NHL level, or at least had gotten like an extended opportunity up with the NHL up in the show. But and well, David Jiricek is a top 10 pick in the 2022 draft. He was selected 6th overall, despite like the little playing time he has. That's still like a very highly respected talent. You know what? If that would make sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we will see, you know, kind of how this pans out, obviously, because of just the fact that there's so many picks involved, and that's going to take at least till 2027 to kind of see how it pans out. And, you know, draft picks are magic beans, and like you don't really know, like you could say, oh, well, like Columbus, like, you know, Minnesota gave up a first, but it all depends on what Columbus does with that first. Like if they just make a bad selection, then you know what I mean? Like it's not the same. But we'll see. I mean, it'll mean that like Minnesota will have the most like insane young right side of their defense, because it'll be Brock Faber and David Jiricek if everything pans out.
Could be exciting.
Yeah. So we'll see. David Jiricek has yet to play a game with. He's now practicing with Minnesota. Minnesota's head coach, what's his face, bald.
So many bald men.
Yeah. I can't. I'm not even gonna bother. But he said that fucking Hines. He said that John Hines. He said that they're gonna give him a couple days to practice with the team before they put him into a game, just to get him up to speed with Minnesota systems and things like that. I think, you know, it's a little bit different to throw a defenseman into the deep end after a trade like that than it is a forward, because you do have defensive systems and things like that, and you have to get up to use. And like Minnesota plays a really fast game, so you have to get up to speed with like how fast Minnesota plays and things like that. So it'll be interesting. I mean, that was an exciting hour I had in the press box at TD Arena. We were all like, oh, wait a minute. But yeah, no, it's it'll be interesting for sure. So we will see how that rolls out. And I'm trying to think about if there's anything else you wanted to add.
I don't believe so.
No.
No.
Well, I want to know if you've seen the clip from this weekend. It was Vegas and Utah. I feel like we have to mention it. We are a Leafs podcast. We are going to talk sometimes about former Leafs. I just had to take a moment where I sat there and I saw that clip and I was like,
you know what? I just think it's really lovely that they're still such their displays of, like, they're such a team. I love the way they work together. Yeah, no, I giggled. I will say. I giggled. I'm trying to find. I had it saved. I'm trying to find it so I can watch it again and chuckle.
Yeah, it was something. But yeah, so for those who haven't seen it, and I'm sure you like probably have, it's been on every highlight package I think I've seen since it happened. But Vegas and Utah, Ilya Samsonov was in net for Vegas. He goes out, plays the puck, and passes it directly to former teammate, and now Utah. See, that's the thing. Now Utah hockey player. That sounds dumb. Pick a name. Utah Alex Kerfoot, where then Kerfoot proceeds to then score a goal on his former teammate.
It's so stupid.
It's just the whole thing where I was like, jeez, man. Like, of course, right?
Like, if it was gonna be anyone, it would be them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. It was just one of those things where I saw it and I just
it was it was so smooth. It's like you can still remember.
What? Like that was the thing too, where I was like
playing on the same team. They miss it. That's what it is. But dear me.
yeah, it was a thing too where I was like, there was that one moment where there was a moment in time where Ilya Samsonov thought that that Alex Kerfoot wearing white coming down towards him was his teammate. He forgot what year it was. He was like, "Is it 2023? I guess so."
Well, let's go back.
Yeah.
I'm back in time.
Yeah, but yeah. In other news as well today, Alexander Ovechkin was Alexander Ovechkin was seen skating today, 2 weeks after breaking his fibula.
I'm not being funny, but if that was me, I'd still be sat in bed resting. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, like I wasn't even walking properly 2 weeks after spraining my ankle.
You're still hobbling around.
Yeah, I still hobble. She'll never be right again. But then again,
but
I'm not Alex Ovechkin, so
I don't think like many people are.
no. It's he's just insane. But no, I can't believe he's like back on the ice. That's actual madness.
Yeah. Also as well, because I feel like maybe you would have an opinion on this. I don't. But 21 Pilots will be performing live during a special intermission performance at the Stadium Series between the Blue Jackets and the Detroit Red Wings on March 1st. Is that not you? No? I also never, but apparently this is big news. I guess they're from Columbus?
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
I have such a complicated history with 21 Pilots.
I was gonna say, I was like, everyone does.
No, I used to like really, really like them. And then like, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of them at the moment. Also, I hate their new music. I'm sorry. I hate their newer music.
Yeah, is it not good? I don't know. I don't listen to them.
You know what? Probably for the best. You're putting yourself first.
Sounds like it. But I mean, last year it was the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah. Bit of a downgrade.
I don't know. I just, all right. Whatever.
Yeah. No, I have not listened to them in so long. I feel like I should. Just like see if they've got any better. But yeah, that's a choice. Good for them, I guess. I will be muting it, but
yeah, but like I don't. It's a Saturday too. But yeah, I don't even know. No, I'll be watching it, but I won't pay attention to that probably when I get up and make food.
yeah, I'll probably just get myself another drink.
Yeah.
But
oh, but I think on that note, unless you have anything else to add, we'll end it here.
yeah, I've got nothing.
Awesome. I love our takeaways is Joseph Woolgood, Maple Leafs will be playing former Leafs all week, and international hockey is fun.
What more could we ask for?
3 main points
Oh,
of today's episode. But yes, with that, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode to talk about not one. We won't just have to talk about one game anymore. We can talk about 2 games. We'll talk about 2 games, Leaf games, and whatever happens through the rest of the main part of this week. Who knows at this point?
Be anything. What's the rest of the week gonna throw at us? Who knows? Surprises.
I don't know. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening. If you would like to find more from Offside News, you can find them on all social platforms at Offside News Co. Or you can find all the lovely articles that they write, including if you want more insight or more recap about Leafs games. Randy's Leafs recap just went up like today. So you can go read that there at offsidenewsco.com. Or you can find the show on Twitter at From the Fourth Line. That's fourth with the number 4TH. Or you can get the show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you miss the 2 of us between episodes because you think we're absolutely hilarious, then you can follow us on Twitter at 6 Leafs for Marcie, at PureB1 for myself. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back on Thursday. And in the meantime, go Leafs go.
Go Leafs go.